What's up guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to install a new servo, and I have this 2075R servo which has metal gears into your Traxxas / 4x4 HCG. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my 2mm hex driver, and I'm gonna start removing the receiver box covers.
So there's 4 screws, so I'll just begin by removing all of them. Okay, we have the main case removed, set that to the side. Now I'm going to remove the sealer. Okay.
What we're gonna do is, I'm gonna, first of all, I have a lot of wires, but under channel 1, it's the first one, it's going to be the first one, we are going to remove that cable because that is the steering servo cable. So, as you can see, I unplugged that wire. Now what we're going to do is, here's that wire that I unplugged. Now what I'm going to do is, using my 2.5mm hex driver, I'm going to start unscrewing this servo. Now that we have the servo removed, I'm going to set all of the servo screws to the side, because we will be reusing them. Okay, and next what we're gonna do is flip the car, and with your 2mm hex driver, there's gonna be this steering linkage arm, and what you wanna do on the one with the servo horn, you're just gonna start removing that one, just like so. And we're just going to keep that screwed to the side. And now this is our steering linkage. So now we're going to flip the car upside down again, and the servo should be free. Just make sure you watch out for this servo horn. Then you can just pull it out from the receiver case.
Okay. Just make sure you're careful when you're doing this.
You don't want to ruin this. So here is the old servo, and here is the new servo. This one is the new servo, and it has metal gears in it. So what I'm gonna do now is, we're gonna take this old servo horn and we're gonna put it on here. But before we do that, we are actually gonna go ahead, and what you're gonna do is make sure you have enough space, and just go ahead and feed that servo wire right through into your receiver box.
So for me, that's going to be a little difficult. I have a lot of things coming in here. Let's just try to make room for that tiny little servo wire to go in here.
Okay, and once you have that, I'm just gonna pry up on it. Okay, we have some on there. So what I'm gonna do now, all I have to do is just set the servo right there, and we're gonna plug it into channel 1. So make sure you plug it into the first slot in your Traxxas TQ or TQI receiver. There we go. Now, as you can see, we have it plugged in to channel 1. It's all good. And I'm not going to worry about any of this just yet, because what we're going to need to do is plug in a fully charged battery. I'm just going to use a 3-cell LiPo that I had, and it's fully charged. So we're going to plug it in. Let me just go get my transmitter. Okay. Power on your vehicle. Power on your transmitter. And what we have to do now is, because if your model has TSM, make sure you turn your multifunction knob all the way off. So all the way off. And set your steering trim completely neutral. So there's neutral for me. And now, there we go. The servo should be centered now. So what I'm gonna do is you can power off the car, power off the transmitter, you can unplug your battery, and now we are free to install the servo horn. So just make sure you verified that your servo is functioning correctly, because if you're gonna put a faulty servo in your car, it's kind of gonna waste some time. So I'm gonna install this piece. Perfect, yep, it's all good. Just gonna, not all the way, but mostly tighten this seal up. Okay, and what we're gonna do now is we have to, oh man, I did it again. Okay, now that we have this, we have the servo, it's all centered. What we're gonna do is remove the old servo horn. So this is, right here is a servo horn. What you're gonna do, just hold it firmly and just remove that screw right there. Once you remove the screw, it should just come off nice and easy. Here is your servo horn. Here is where most people typically tend to upgrade to a metal servo horn, as theirs has been stripped out, but mine is still completely fine, so I won't need to upgrade that until it gets messed up. So now we have our servo, and what we're gonna do is there's little indents on this servo horn right there, little indents, and there's teeth on this servo. So what we're gonna do, we are not gonna go, since we centered our servo, we're not gonna go completely center. We're gonna go about one tooth to the right. And try not to over tighten. Just gonna tighten it up like that. Okay. And that seems about good. So what we're gonna do now, make sure the servo horn is facing that way towards the front of the car, right? Like that. And we are just gonna place the servo back in its spot. So now, with all the screws we had to screw the servo in, I'm just gonna begin screwing it in again.
Okay. And we'll tighten those by hand.
Just be careful when you're doing this, because you don't want to damage your new servo. So don't over tighten, just tighten just about right. Should just be a snug fit. Okay. And now it doesn't look like that servo's going anywhere. So what we can do now that the servo is actually installed, yep, as you see, that servo horn right there, looking good. So we can just, now all we gotta do is, I am gonna power on the car just one more time. Actually, what we're gonna do, should flip the car upside down. And right here, this steering linkage right there, it's just a link right there. What we're gonna do is just find that old screw that we were using before, and with your 2mm hex driver, we're just gonna install that back into the servo. So we're just gonna place it there. And if you are using an aluminum servo horn, it's recommended that you screw it in with thread locker. But no matter what, make sure this isn't too tight, as you want to have a little bit of play in there. So just kind of over tightened. Yep, that is just about right. Now that we have that done, I'm just gonna power on the car just one more time, because I don't want to risk any damages with this new servo. So we're gonna place the battery inside, power the transmitter on, receiver on. And it's looking perfect. So what I'm gonna do is, if you need to make some minor adjustments, steering trim can perfectly help with that. And it looks about good. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to power off the vehicle, power off the transmitter, and all of this. What we're gonna do is just find a way to tuck in these wires. You don't want it to be overcrowded. You don't want your receiver to malfunction or anything, but just pack these wires in. That way they don't get in the way of anything. And what we're gonna do now is place that rubber gasket. 1 second. Okay, as I was saying, we're gonna place this rubber gasket that we removed earlier and just slot it into place. And if you are gonna be running your Traxxas in water, it's recommended that you put some grease. That way it ensures a watertight seal, but for now, I don't think I'm gonna need to do that. So with your 2mm hex driver, all you're gonna wanna do is just screw in the receiver case, just like so. And just make sure no wires are getting snagged, no wires are getting tucked under this receiver case, because you don't wanna damage anything. Okay. And it looks like my receiver case isn't going anywhere. I'm gonna remove the battery real quick, and there you have it. Your brand new servo is just installed. And if you want to change your endpoints, you can go on the Traxxas Link app in order to set some endpoints, or you can look at Traxxas's support guide.